Labor Day weekend is coming up quickly, and as we celebrate the holiday, we can't forget about the contributions of hardworking Americans. It's also an important time to shine a light on the rights and protections that every worker should know about. Joining us once again is Micha Liberty, a labor and employment law expert who's been advocating for workers' rights for over 25 years. Welcome back, Micha.
Thank you so much for having me back, Kate. It's great to be here today.
It's great to see you. So Labor Day is often seen as this long holiday weekend for us, but it has roots in the ground for, fair treatment and safe conditions on the job. So can you start by explaining what Labor Day really represents and why it's still relevant today?
Absolutely. Labor Day is so much more than just the unofficial end of summer or the last day to wear white. It's a day to honor the contributions and the sacrifices of working people throughout our nation's history. And it originated in the late 19th century during a time where workers really had little to no rights. They were fighting for basic things like fair wages and reasonable hours and safe working conditions. People were dying in factories because they didn't have a safe space to work. So even though we've made fairly significant progress, Labor Day remains incredibly relevant because many of those same conversations are still happening today, from wage equity to workplace safety to the right to organize. And workers continue to face challenges that require both awareness and also advocacy, because that's how we continue the progress of change. So this holiday really is a moment to reflect on how far we've come and also how much work there is still to do.
Absolutely. I know a lot of people are surprised to learn that certain protections like, overtime pay or your meal breaks can even vary from state to state. So what are some common misconceptions about workers' rights that you come across?
Yeah, well, I think that's the biggest one. And we're so lucky here in California because we have some of the most progressive and worker-friendly rights in California. In the past, employers were essentially able to treat employees how they wanted without any sort of consequences. And a lot of employers still operate like that today. But I think it's important for workers to understand that they do have rights here in California and federally. So if something happens, if they're discriminated against, if they're harassed at work because of their race or gender or disability, even because of their political belief, they have benefits that they can take advantage of in the courtroom. They have rights, and they should talk to someone who knows what they're doing, who can help them work their way through the court system to advocate for themselves so they're not discriminated against. They're not terminated without, appropriate safeguards. For example, you have the right to a minimum wage. You have the right to overtime pay in certain circumstances. Folks have the ability. We're called, in my generation, we're called the sandwich generation because we're taking care of elderly parents and we're also taking care of children. You have the right to take time off to do that. So talk to someone, learn what your rights are, and make sure your employer is giving you those rights.
Now, Micha, let's touch on retaliation. If an employee is reporting, unsafe conditions or unfair treatment like that, what steps can they take if they're worried about being punished for speaking up?
And that's a very real concern. It's scary to go into HR's office anytime for any reason. I certainly understand that. But what you should do is speak up. Make sure you're documenting any conversations that you have with coworkers, your supervisor, and of course, if you are going to talk to HR, any conversations you have with HR, gather information, talk to other employees, get whatever evidence you can to justify any complaints or even the questions that you may have. Make sure you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's. It's normal for people to be afraid of retaliation, but even if you make a claim that you were discriminated against, and it doesn't bear fruit, it's not justified, if they retaliate against you, you can make a claim for retaliation. It's your right to go in and to talk about what your experience is like. If you think your rights are being violated, talk to a lawyer who can help you at least work through the process, even if you don't want to file a lawsuit. Get some good legal advice.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Micha. If someone needs your advice, how do they get a hold of you?
libertylaw.com, or they can call us at 510-645-1000.
Amazing. It was great having you on Studio 17 again. We'll see you next time.
Thanks so much.
And we have more Studio 17 coming up.